Welcome, I'm Macky Hall, and if you've been following my recent tutorial series, you know that I've been talking about the appearance window a whole lot. Now, we're going to wrap it all up by teaching you how to add and manage editable effects to objects and groups. This is all about creating and editing Illustrator effects. As you know, this is the fourth and final part in my ongoing series on the appearance window. The other parts are creating color swatches, layering strokes, fills, and gradients, using stroke to create a 3D planet shape, and of course, what we're on now, adding and managing editable effects to objects and groups. Of course, we're going to build on the other parts, but if you want to learn how to add and manage editable effects, this is the video for you. This video stands alone and it showcases the best way to add and manage editable effects in Illustrator. That being said, let's get started. All right, before we get started, I want to mention that we're using the Essentials Classic workspace. In order to switch to the Essentials Classic workspace, all you need to do is go to the top right-hand corner, click on Switch Workspace, and select Essentials Classic. Now, if you like your own workspace, by all means continue to use it. We'll get you from point A to point B either way. Beyond that, a few words about our main artboard. We've got a single artboard that's 1,000 pixels wide by 1,000 pixels tall, and it is in the RGB color mode. Feel free to copy or not. Next, we're going to be using the bottom center of our page to highlight key command recommendations, hotkey recommendations, and tips and tricks. With that in mind, if you're using an Apple device, anytime we recommend the control key, select the command key instead. Again, command equals control. All right, since a big part of what we're doing incorporates the appearance window, let's go ahead and bring the appearance window up. There are two ways to do it. First, all you need to do is go up to your window menu, click on that, and then select appearance from there. Additionally, you can select Shift F6. Let's go ahead and close that. I'll show you a different way too. If you're using the Essentials Classic or comparable workspace, all you need to do is look for the appearance icon in your right toolbar. From there, just click and it will pop up. Now that we've got that done, let's go ahead and start with our ribbon. First things first, let's go on over to our rectangle tool. That's on the right toolbar. If you don't see that, hover over any other shape that is visible, right-click on it, and select your rectangle tool. From there, and I'm going to use this existing shape as reference since this is part of a bigger group, let's go ahead and click and release anywhere on our artboard, and let's create a rectangle that's 350 pixels wide by 80 pixels tall. Once we've got that, regardless of color, let's go ahead and align our piece to the center horizontally. All we need to do that is either go to our top bar and select Align Center. If you don't see your Align tools, all you need to do is go to Window, Align, or select Shift F7. From there, just align it to center just like that. Let's go ahead and close our window if you need to, and let's continue. Now, once we've got that done, and let's go ahead and assume that our rectangle is on our default color build. That means that we've got a white fill and a black stroke. Let's go ahead and click and release on it so we've got that in common, and then let's go ahead and go from there. First thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and change our fill. In order to do that, let's go on over to our appearance window. Let's double click on our fill. That will bring up our color swatches right here. Now, if we want to use a custom color, by all means, we can select our color mixer. If we want to use a gradient, by all means, select gradient. In this case, we're going to go back to our color swatches and go from the color swatch group that we've created. In this case, I'm going to select dark blue. Now, this color swatch template is from our tutorial color theme that we created out of our tutorial color swatch group. To see how to build that, check out the first video of this sequence. All right, now that we've got that out of the way, let's go ahead and click anywhere on our artboard just once, and that will deselect our swatches. Next thing we want to do is let's go ahead and change our stroke. In order to do that, with our shape still selected, let's go ahead and double click on our stroke, and let's go ahead and change our stroke color to light orange. Note that we've done that in our appearance window. We can hardly see it because the stroke is so thin. So let's go ahead and thicken that up. All we need to do is we'll go over to our stroke right here. We can arrow that up, piece of cake, just like that. Or of course, we can just double click and then change our stroke thickness to whatever we want. In this case, let's change it to 10. That looks pretty good. And let's change our stroke alignment. We can do that because it's a closed shape. In order to do that, let's go ahead and open up our stroke window. Of course, you can do it through your window or of course the right toolbar if you see it. However, we're going to open up the stroke panel through our appearance window. All you need to do is click on the word stroke, and then let's go ahead and change align stroke to the inside right here. Let's go ahead and close this menu, and then let's go ahead and deselect our shape overall. With this in mind, I'm going to grab my selection tool, and let's click anywhere on our artboard to deselect. Now that we've got that done, let's go ahead and add some type in the middle of our shape too. With that in mind, since this is ultimately going to serve as a ribbon, let's go ahead and select our type tool and then insert type into it. Grab our type tool, let's click anywhere on our artboard. Let's go ahead and zoom into our shape. All we need to do is select Control+, that'll bring us up close just like that. And then let's go ahead and change our type. Let's call this Space Team. Let's select all of our type by triple clicking on the words. Additionally, you can select Control-A, and then let's change our character type from Myriad Pro to Peace Sans. You can either enter it or of course select from the drop down if you've got that. Now if you don't have Peace Sans, and most of us probably don't, all you need to do is go to fontsquirrel.com, do a search for Peace, check out the link right below, and download the typeface. Great typeface for this kind of thing. Once we've got that, let's open up our character window. We can do that by going to Window, scrolling all the way down to select Type, and then selecting Character. Or of course, you can select Character from the top bar right here. Or of course, you can select Control-T and it'll pop up. So lots of ways to do it. In this case, what we're going to do is let's go ahead and increase our type size to 42. And then let's change our type to all caps by clicking on the all caps icon right here in the menu. Once we've got that, let's do one more thing. Let's set our paragraph align to center. All we need to do that is go to paragraph and hit and select align center. From there, let's go ahead and grab our selection tool and either drag or use our directional keys to bring our shape into the shape at the center. Looks pretty good right there. If we deselect, let's go ahead and deselect our shape. That looks pretty good right there. The next thing we want to do is let's go ahead and change our fill color. Once again, all we need to do, select our type right there. And then let's add a fill by selecting add new fill. From there, let's single click on our fill button since our shape is selected and our fill is selected. And let's select white type. Let's deselect. That looks pretty good, but since we're talking about it, let's go ahead and add an effect to our fill. And that is going to be a colored drop shadow. Here's how we do it. First things first, let's go ahead and add a new fill. This new fill, we'll double click on it. Let's change that fill to a dark orange. Let's close that swatch. Of course, we can't see it, but it does exist beneath that. All we need to do to see it, of course, is bring it in front of our existing fill. And you can see it right there. Let's move it back behind. And then let's go ahead and make a quick change to it. With this fill, what we want to do is let's go ahead and select our background fill that we want to influence, and then let's add an effect to it. The way we do that is we'll select Effects, Distort and Transform, Transform. Again, we're trying to make a drop shadow, so we want to offset that type a little bit. Piece of cake with how we do that. All we need to do is we want to move our type horizontally 2 points, and then we want to move our type vertically 2 points, just like that. And since the preview is on, you can see how the offset works. That looks pretty good right there. Let's click OK. Deselect. Love the way that looks. That looks pretty good right there. However, if we want to edit it, it's a piece of cake. All we need to do is select our type, open up the fill that contains that effect, select Transform, which is the effect, and then make any changes that we want right there. Now, I don't need to make any changes right here. I'm pretty happy with how it is. So I'm just going to go ahead and click OK and go back to deselecting our shape right there. Now that we've got that done, let's go ahead and create the ribbon for our shape. First things first, let me show you how to do it wrong. If I select both of these shapes just like that without grouping them, watch what happens. Notice that these are two separate elements that I'm selecting. If I want to add an effect to them, I'll select Effects, Warp, and let's go ahead and make a nice little arc right here. Watch what happens. Notice that they warp on their own. That's not what we're looking for, regardless of what we do to change it. If we change this to 30, you'll notice that it'll never work out right. So we want to cancel that. And let's go ahead and fix our two shapes so that we can apply the warp effect. What we want to do is we want to group these shapes together. So let's go ahead and right click on the two shapes, select group. Now with both of our shapes selected, let's go back to effects. Let's go back to warp and let's select arc, and notice that now they are warping together. That's exactly what we want. However, let's mellow down that arc just a little bit. Let's take that down from 50 to about 20. Let's take a look at what it looks like. Click OK. Deselect our shape. Let's zoom out. Let's go ahead and bring the whole page into view and see what it looks like. We'll do that by hitting Control-0, and there we go. Let's grab our shape and arrow it into position. I'll grab my selection tool, select my shapes right here, and let's move it into position just how we want. Let's deselect. I love the way that looks, but what if I want to edit that warp or delete that warp? Well, it's a piece of cake. All we need to do is select our shape right there with our selection tool, and then we can go to warp arc right here. Now, if we want to delete it, all I need to do is select warp arc, throw it in the trash, and there we go. Let's go ahead and deselect, show you what that looks like, and then let's go ahead and undo that. I'll select edit, undo, or select Control-Z, and that will take me back to where we were. What if I want to edit this warp effect? Piece of cake. I can do that this way. I'll select the shape one more time, and then I'll select warp arc. From here, as the warp arc window opens up, I can change my arc to an arch, perhaps to a flag if I want to, or whatever else, and notice that that arc is changing on the fly. Now in this case, I don't want to do anything of the sort. I really liked the way my arc was, so let's go back to it. Let's go to arc right here, go select OK, and now let's go ahead and continue. Now with that in mind, what about editing type? Well, remember, we never changed our shape out of type. All we need to do to edit our type is grab the type tool, and again, with our smart guides on, all we need to do is hover over our type, wait till it activates. You can see how it activates right there. Let's triple click, and then let's change our type to whatever we want. In this case, let's change it to Discover. Grab our selection tool, let's deselect our shape, and there you go. Notice how easy it was to do that. Now, last thing I want to do is I want to add an offset around my badge. So here's how we're going to do that, and then we'll be all set and done. Remember how we modified a group of shapes previously? Well, we're going to do the same thing right now. First thing we need to do is we need to drag across both of our shapes just like that. Let's go ahead and right click on them and select group. Now notice what we're doing right here is we're modifying grouped elements that already have effects applied upon them. If you will, we are taking it just one step further. Now let's continue from here. If I want to add a black offset, all I need to do, first I want to add a new fill. Piece of cake, all I need to do is go down to the bottom of my appearance window, select add new fill, and notice that the fill appears in front of my shape. I'm not worried about that in the least because I can click and drag them beneath my contents just like that, and it will appear beneath it. Next thing I want to do is I want to add an effect to my fill. It's going to be called an offset. Here's how I do it. I'll select my fill right here. Let's go ahead and go to Effects. Let's go to Path, and we'll select Offset Path. And notice right away when I do that, it'll create a 10-point offset path. Once I've got that set, let's go ahead and change our offset from 10 pixels to 20 pixels. Let's tab off of it. Let's go ahead and click OK. Let's deselect our shape, and notice it looks good except for that little thing on the bottom left-hand corner. How do we fix that? It's easy to fix. All we need to do, select our grouped shape one more time, and let's go ahead and change our path. Let's select our path. Let's click on it, and let's go ahead and change our joins from miter to round. Let's see if that impacts it. Let's go ahead and select OK. Deselect our shape. And notice that that did the job perfectly. One last thing I'd want to do is make sure that my offset is perfectly black or any color I want. So here's how I do it. I'm going to select this shape one more time. Let's double click on our fill. And instead of just selecting my swatches, I'm going to go over to my color mixer right here. And then let's change the RGB makeup from 35, 31, 32 to 0, 0, 0. That'll give us an absolute black right there. Let's tab off of it. Let's click off of our shape. Let's deselect our shape. Let's go ahead and save our piece. And with that, we are done. Nice job. Now you know the best way to add and manage editable effects in Adobe Illustrator. In addition, if you followed my entire appearance window tutorial, you know all about this fantastic tool. Now, if you haven't, check out the rest of the pieces in my tutorial. It's all on my channel. Go for it. Finally, comment, like, subscribe. We'll see you next time. Peace.